There's a story back in the Old Testament book of 1 Kings in chapter 13 when Jeroboam had led the 10 tribes of Israel to divide away from the southern kingdoms of Judah and Benjamin. And Jeroboam had followed God's teaching on many things, but when he got away, he was fearful that the Israelites would go back to Jerusalem on the times of worship, and that they would end up going back and becoming a part of Judah again. So out of that fear, he erected idols in the cities of Dan and Bethel so that the people could come there, and he said to them, "These are your gods, and it's too far to go back to Jerusalem. Worship God here." And he set up the feast days that would be comparable to the ones that God had set up with Passover and Pentecost, and so he had people worshiping these idol gods. In 1 Kings 13, God sent a young prophet to come down, and he came from Judah to be able to curse the altar that is in Bethel. And he came before them, and Jeroboam himself was there, and the prophet spoke out and said, "Cursed be this altar. On it the blood and the bones of the priests that are offering sacrifices will one day be offered." And he gave the command, and the altar itself split apart, and the ashes began to scatter. Jeroboam, in anger, stretched out his hand and said, "Seize that man." When he did, God struck the hand and the arm of Jeroboam, and he couldn't pull it back to him. And then he began to plead with the prophet to do something, and the prophet prayed, and God made his hand all right again. Jeroboam then pleaded with the prophet to come to his house and to eat and to drink with him, and the young prophet said, "No. God has commanded me not to eat or drink in this place, but to go directly back to Judah by a different way than the one that I came." And so he departed and headed back toward Judah. Well, there were some young men there who were the sons of an old prophet that lived in that area, and they went home to tell him what they had seen and what a powerful thing this was that they had observed. Well, he was moved by what he heard, and so he went out to catch that prophet. He asked them which direction he went. They told him, and he went chasing after that young prophet. When he caught him, the young prophet was sitting down resting. And the old prophet said to him, would you come back and eat with me in my house, and let's fellowship? The young man said, "No, I can't do that. God has commanded that I neither eat nor drink in this place, but that I go directly back to Judah in a different route that I had followed coming here." And the old prophet said, "Yes, but God has spoken to me also. And he sent me out here that I would bring you back. He's changed, and so come back with me." And the young prophet believed the lie of the old prophet. He went back, sat down to eat with that old prophet, when the voice of God said, "Because you have not obeyed my command, you will die in this place." And he saddled his donkey and began to head back toward Judah, and a lion came out and attacked him and killed that young prophet. Now, his prophecy would come true just like he had said. And he was a man of God. And he believed honestly what the old prophet said. And yet it was a lie. And God held him responsible for believing that lie. There's such a huge lesson in this that we all need to get. We can honestly believe a thing with all of our heart, But if it's not true, if it's not right, then we will suffer as a result of believing that lie. In the New Testament, in the book of 2 Thessalonians, Paul would write, "And with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in those who perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this reason God will send them a strong delusion, that they might believe a lie, that they all might be condemned, who did not believe the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness." It's a dangerous thing to just believe what someone says. We need to prove all things and hold on to what's good. Believing a lie can be extremely damaging. It can cost me in this world and in eternity. The truth matters, and so I ought to stick with it.